Hello and good evening, everyone. I'm Catherine Tate, and I am the Executive Director of the School of Animation and Visual Effects at Academy of Art University. I am thrilled to welcome the director and editor from the film American Murder, which is currently streaming, and we're going to be showing it later tonight for you folks. Director Matthew Gentile, who is we'll be talking to in a minute, and also Matt Evans, who we'll be also talking to in a minute. And we also brought some students who worked on the film, and they are going to be joining in the conversation a little bit later because we have to get Matthew and Matt out because they're busy guys. So I was thinking, if you don't mind, we could start the trailer. We could show the trailer first, and then I have some questions for you, and we'll also have the chat open for people, mainly students, who want to ask you questions. So let's go ahead and play the trailer for American Murder.
This is our prime suspect, Jason Derek Brown. Tough to say where he might be headed at this point.
I love you.
We should see what kind of trail this guy leaves us pretty soon.
Just not the Jason I know.
He's a con man, Melanie. Plain and simple.
I need to speak with Jason.
My brother is dead. Kid quadruple. He was diagnosed with cancer.
Now, I know you know Jason, and I know he's been here recently.
We got a little opportunity.
80 grand, 3 days.
I'm gonna rob an armored truck, and I want you to help me.
That's above your pay grade.
Is that a no, mommy?
You're never gonna find him.
You sure about that?
I'm sure you'll figure something out.
Is there any part of that brain of yours that could just tell you to stop?
Bitch!
He won't get away with this.
One man against a loaded gun.
Tell me, where is your brother? And do not lie to me.
Did you kill that man?
I always tell you the truth. You know that. How do I look? Deadly. Good answer.
Great. And then we were very, very lucky to be able to do some visual effects compositing work for this film through AAU Studio X. And that's why we're so happy to be talking to you and bringing you here. And we appreciate you coming to help share a little bit of behind the scenes on the film. So I'm going to start asking you a few questions, and we'll go from there. So Matthew, what initially attracted you to this story and this project?
Hi, Catherine. Thanks for having us. And it's good to see all you guys who worked on the movie. I remember seeing you at the old panel, and thank you for being here. And thank you for saving our butts on this film. So in terms of what attracted me to this project, it goes back a long time before I wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to be an FBI agent when I was about 14 years old. I first learned of the crime that takes place at the center of American Murder. I found out that this character of Jason Derek Brown was an FBI top 10 fugitive. The story just kind of obsessed me from a young age. Here was this charismatic con man who committed this, very elaborate heist, and meant so many things to so many different people, disappeared and kind of attained this D.B. Cooper-esque status of, a top 10 fugitive, spoiler alert, but, that's what the film kind of is about and explores. So I was really excited by that as a filmmaker. And, I graduated from film school at the AFI. I was where I met also. I was kind of struggling to figure out what my first feature film was going to be. I made a lot of shorts, but figuring out that leap to first feature was kind of a challenge for me. And the story just kind of popped back onto my radar, and I said to myself, why isn't that a movie? And hence thus began the journey to get American Murderer made.
That's great. That's great. And you did this film on a limited budget, on an independent budget. And how important was the pipeline process, specifically the previs process, to the success of getting the film done, which must have been a huge feat considering that you were working with limited means?
Well, they have an old phrase with film. It's called "hurry up and wait," meaning that independent films take so long to get made. In terms of American, and just in general, it's very hard to get financing. And in terms of American Murder, the project before principal photography began, I think I had finally calculated on day 3 of filming. I was like, I guess it's been about 3+ years to get to this point of shooting. So, and then that doesn't include post and all that. So, overall it was like a 4.5-year journey. And, there's a lot of false starts and stops, which is frustrating at the time when they happen. However, the beauty of false starts and stops is you have a lot of time to prepare. It's almost like running a drill. You go and we would, me and the cinematographer, Clint Robinson, starting out with storyboard and shot list. And then on one of I think the 3rd or 4th start and stop, Matt Allen, my editor in the box below me, had gotten his hands on this pre-visualization software where, he was able to essentially, I had storyboarded I think I'd storyboarded the whole film by that point a couple of different times. I'd drawn it all out and drawn out the cuts and drawn the shots with the cinematographer, but Matt was able to kind of take what we did 10,000 steps further with some software that he had gotten his hands on. I can let Matt speak to that, but it was extremely essential because by the time we got to shoot the movie in those 3 years where it was like on, off, let's go, let's, the development, slow logs. By the time we got to shoot, we shot the whole film in 22 days. And if you saw the trailer, you saw there's a helicopter, there's cars, there's guns, there's SWAT, there's, a lot of stuff. Normally they advise you on a first feature to shoot a movie all in one house or something. We didn't do that. So, we really, went for it. And so the only way I think we were able to pull off what we did was because we had done so much preparation. And I can let Matt speak about the previs.
So Matt, I just want to ask, so did you take the storyboards and then port them into the software? And what software was this, by the way?
So Matthew showed me the storyboards and he had drawn a lot of these storyboards and he also had a storyboard artist working with him as well. But I had really learned about previs working on some bigger budget movies as an assistant editor. The first time I really saw it was a movie called Disney's Christopher Robin, where it's a CG Winnie the Pooh character. And I'm an assistant editor helping the previs team and the main editor put that all together. And so that kind of was the inception of the idea. And then we're working on an independent movie. I'm like, how do I do this on an indie budget? And so normally editors are not creating previs like out of nothing. And so what I did is I went into Shot Pro. It's kind of a good intermediate thing. In the future, I might want to use something like iClone or something, but Shot Pro is really good where I was able to make a lot of the core things that Matthew needed. I could roam around with a virtual camera and he could like sit there and really figure out what his shots were and play around. And I think it helped us get on the same page. He got used to working with me before the clock started in terms of actually cutting the film. And I think he figured out what he really wanted, from an idea perspective of like, do the shots I really need. Obviously, Matthew's really good about be prepared to be flexible. And so things did change, but there's a lot of things that stayed the same. And so I think that was just kind of the beginnings of a really good collaboration with a director and giving them just kind of more tools in the toolkit, particularly on an independent budget, not like a Marvel movie, to try things out and be more prepared.
That's incredible. It's actually an incredible accomplishment. So I would imagine that you had to wear several hats, both of you, Matthew and Matt, and had to take on tasks that normally a director and editor wouldn't take on because you were dealing with such a limited budget. Can you speak a little bit to that? And I just want to mention, Matthew, I know that you won many awards for your short films. And just changing to a feature, from going from shorts to feature, did you find that to be a huge leap or in terms of difficulty? Or so just, I guess I'm asking, what was different like what you were saying, from working on this, than a high budget Marvel film, what did you have to do specially to make it happen? Because what you really did the impossible. I mean, independent film, most people who've gone through the independent filmmaking process, it's an incredibly long, painful process, and it requires a lot of dedication. So to speak to, that wasn't really a clear question, but I guess.
Well, Matt, cool if I start and
Yeah, you start, Matthew.
I mean, yeah, the jump from shorts to feature is pretty staggering. I will say that I have a lot of respect for how hard the short form is, because a short form is almost like writing a haiku or a short story, whereas a film, you have kind of the length of a novel. You have more room to kind of play and try things out. Like, you know, I would say for myself, and this isn't to be falsely modest, like my shorts did do very well. Some of them won big awards, some of them played big festivals, as you pointed out. I don't think I ever personally made that great of a short film. Not because they're not well crafted or this and that, but because what makes a great short film often is like a punchline, kind of a joke, a one, you know, they pull themselves up. And my shorts never did that. Like my shorts, From Man and Lawman, were like really good long trailers for features. You know, and I just, you know, like I know people who have made like shorts that won Oscars or won Sundance, and that was not me. I just kind of, you know, I was always a feature guy. That was kind of always my head. And I also don't really like, my mind doesn't think in TV either. I like it really is just up to 2 hours, probably because I've watched so many damn movies in my life. But American Murder, you know, it was a huge jump. I mean, like I said, there were a lot of these false starts and stops leading up to it. I spent most of my 20s, you know, trying to get this movie made or get a first feature off the ground. And I made it literally the year I turned 30 years old. You know, which is quite, you know, it was like, and it was a big moment to come at me, you know, and like to be like, now this is, you know, you're getting your chance. And it was at a time too, in the middle of COVID, and not the middle of COVID, but the height of the pandemic, pre-vaccines. We filmed American Murder in the winter of 2020, early 2021, and we're editing it then.
Oh
so,
my gosh.
Pre-vaccines, and you guys were involved, so you know, you were helping us, right? You know, but everything was remote. I mean, it was really like, you know, masks, no vaccines. Like it was a really, really scary time to make a movie. So it was a big moment to be handed to you. But on the other hand, it was incredible. I mean, to be able to have the opportunity in that rough time to essentially make art, you know, and do your passion project. You know, it was really a dream come true. But yeah, it was extremely challenging. There were new things thrown at you every day, you know. And you think it's going to be bigger than a student movie. Like you think it's different, but it's not. I remember day one of filming, we were filming a boat party scene that's in the film. Some shots were in the trailer, so any shots of the boat was that scene. And I remember like walking onto the set and I see like trailers and honey wagons. And like, you know, I'm a guy who's just made shorts up to this point. So I'm thinking like, oh my God, like, this is a real movie. Like we did it, you know, we made it, we're here. And then we go and we start filming the boat party scene. And, you know, we get me and my cinematographer, Kalila, who's went to AFI with me and Matt, we get on the boat and we're filming and like, we can't fit like on the boat. And like the wind starts blowing us 20 miles an hour, sending us spiraling on the lake.
Chaos factor.
I just like Kalila's like angling over the boat to get the shot. And I'm like, professional movie, my ass, nothing has changed. Absolutely nothing. We're still students, you know, we're still learning. We're still racing the clock to make the day. And, you know, that's the thing is like, no matter how professional it gets, there is always that element of every day is like, you're ticking the clock. You're just trying to get as much as you can. You know, you're not gonna be able to go back to that location. You know, when you make a movie that's an indie, you have so many parameters, but it also really forces you, I would say, to be creative. And, you know, not like you don't have the time to overshoot a scene. You got to get you're not going to be able to get 20 angles. Not that I would want to anyway, but, you know, you got to get the 3 or 4 or the 1, sometimes right one. So it was a really great experience where you had to kind of learn to think on your feet. But again, because we were so prepared and storyboarded and animatic and prevised and all of these things, and, you know, details filled out for every scene of like what the characters are wearing to, you know, what the blocking should be like, to what the art, what the production design in the background should be. Because all of that was really carefully thought out and researched and done, it made us be able to attack when curveballs would get thrown away, which was literally every 5 seconds. So
You had some pretty high profile actors. How did they deal with being in an independent scenario? Do they expect to be treated the same way, or?
These guys were great. I mean, every actor is different. Any director will tell you that. I've listened to a lot of interviews lately. I'm like, the directors are for the Oscars, and I'm like, they all say the same thing. Every actor is different. It's true. They all are. They all have their own language, their own way of working. And it's up to you as a director to kind of figure that out. You figure out, how does Tom Pelphrey work? How does Ryan Phillippe work? How does Idina Menzel work? How does Jackie Lucas? They all come from different backgrounds and wakes of life. I think they all knew what they were signing up for. It was unusual to get a cast of this caliber to be in such a small movie. And we were very lucky to have them. But I think they all were pretty in on the mission. And look, I think again, just made in the height of the pandemic, people were excited to work, and to do a movie that I think they thought, would be good. So that helped, because they weren't getting paid what they do on like other movies and all that. So I think everyone was just excited to be a part of this project, because they felt it had something to say and all of that. And yeah.
Wouldn't it be odd if they were to find, if the movie somehow, I don't know if it's, I want to make sure it's not a spoiler, but
that's okay. I mean,
I mean, wouldn't it be interesting if this actually caused the guy to be found, if he really was out there somewhere?
Yeah, that would be pretty wild, and I've gotten some emails from people coming out of the woodwork since it came out, like people who now say, I met people who knew him in writing the film.
Really? Wow.
I did a lot of research. It's very journalistic kind of style of writing the script, but so I have had people since the movie came out reach out to me, be like, I have a story about Jason, and sometimes would write, what that was. So yeah, no, I mean, it's crazy. I don't, nothing would surprise me at this point.
Right.
He is found, but I would definitely. I know people are going to ask me what I think when that happens.
Oh wow. You might want to leave your address unlisted. So you went to AFI, which is a very respectable film school, and you did some pretty amazing work while you were there as a student, and you made relationships with each other. You and Matt met each other in school. What would you say, because there's a lot of students here tonight, how important would you say, how important is school to your process, or how important was it to your process now? And and obviously you've made lasting relationships that that turned into working relationships in the professional world. What would you say to students who are now in school, and what was the most important thing, do you think, about your educational process for what you do now?
Well, for me, school, I mean, I would be nowhere without AFI. My whole team that made American Murderer made AFI. But I'll tell you something. The crazy thing is, so someone told me this since it's like kind of an advice question. When I first came to film school at AFI, I have a really great teacher, mentor, who mentored me through this whole movie too. And something he said to me was, once you go to film school, once you enter Los Angeles, every meeting you have is an audition. And he was like, every single one. Every time you meet somebody for a coffee, if they're like, it's an audition. You are auditioning, and you're on, and you have to be on. And a lot of people didn't like that phrase, but I actually think it's brilliant. And the reason why I think it is because you just don't know who you're going to meet. And this is going to tie into the gentleman in the box below me. So, Matt and I we went to AFI, but we didn't go to AFI together. To describe this in interviews. we always don't know what to say, but yes, we actually didn't go at the same time. Matt was a couple years behind me. I was class of 2015. Matt was class of 2017. But I was editing I did a second thesis film called Lawman with the team that ended up being the team for American Murderer. And I needed a fresh pair of eyes on it. So I asked the head of the editing program at the time, who was an Oscar nominated editor named Matt Chesse. I said, who's like the brightest guy in the edit bay in this building? I need a pair of eyes, and I need someone good. And he said, oh, this guy Matt Allen, he'll watch your movie. I said, great.
Wow.
Matt was. He comes in, he watched my film. He doesn't know me, I don't know him. And he took the time and was generous and was honest about what worked and what didn't, more importantly. And that made an impression on me. And then Matt was in the back of my brain when I was thinking of, who do I want to edit this film? Who do I want to work with? Because I think what you learn at school beyond, yes, craft is important, is crucial and all of that. But at least what AFI was about, and it seems like this school is about that too, is it's about film's collaboration. I take drawing and painting classes now for the first time in my life, and drawing and painting, you don't really have to collaborate. You can just draw and paint and do whatever the hell you want, and there's something very freeing about that. I'm terrible at it. I've seen a lot of your guys are, and you're very good at that stuff. I envy the ability to be good at that kind of thing, but like, you don't have to consult a bunch of people for that. But film directing especially, but editing, cinematography, screenwriting, somewhat less so, but still, even that, you are collaborating, and you have to learn how to collaborate, and that takes time, skill, practice, learning what to do, what not to do, not talking over people, listening, right? All of these things. So what AFI gave me, and I think it was given a lot of people who really like the experience, and I'll let Matt speak to it because I keep taking the podium from him tonight. But it teaches you. I think film school is a really great opportunity to learn how to collaborate with people. And I would also say keep in touch with everyone and talk and be good with everyone, because you never know who is going to do something in this field. I mean, my first film school experience was a study abroad when I was an undergrad in Prague 10 years ago. And
Wow.
both of them are out in Los Angeles in very powerful positions.
Wow.
Same with people I interned with or was an assistant at in the middle of a talent agency with. So, whoever you meet, be good with. Don't make enemies, and don't be, a jerk to anyone or anything like that, because you just, just don't do it because it's wrong. But also just, you just never know where someone's going to go in 5 to 10 years, and you'll be amazed. So networking horizontally and not vertically, you tap into your network and the people and I think that's always great. Anything you want to add, Matt?
I mean, the big one I'll say, I think, for people that are in school and remembering where I was at school, is the two things I think are most important is, one, mentorship. I mean, that was how I got to have the skills that I have now, and I still have mentors. It's like seeking out people of like, oh, that's who I want to be in 2 years. That's who I want to be in 5 years. That's who I want to be in 10 years. And see if you can connect with them. I mean, fortunately, a lot of people here are all visual effects. Most visual effects artists are very underappreciated people, but their work is literally on screen. They're not writers, directors, or actors. So if you can write a really great email to someone who's a visual effects artist that you really admire, they might be nice enough to take the time to like answer your questions or talk to you about your career path or something. So I really believe in mentorship. I believe in good cold outreach, not just cold outreach, but like good cold outreach and writing good emails. And it's a team sport. Filmmaking is a total team sport. So leaving your ego at the door and trying to do what's best for the movie. And that's very challenging at times, but I think that's kind of the fun also of being an editor too, is everything kind of funnels in and you're trying to help everybody do their jobs really well, just like you guys did. You guys came in, we had a tight deadline, and a lot of other people on the panel too, they like really put their artistry down so we could have this film. And it's like all these individual people came together to make this, and it's awesome. It's like a huge privilege.
I gotta give a shout out to Sasha Corellis, our supervising producer, who couldn't be here tonight, but this is why we started Studio X, is so we could have more collaboration and also collaborate with actual filmmakers so we could focus on the work that we're training to do. But before, I see a couple questions in the chat, and I know you guys have to leave in a couple minutes, so I just wanted to address the ones I'm seeing. And Will, if there are any more, Will Ziegler is also.
Yeah, I've been gathering them up. Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and ask them?
Sure, we got a few questions from the chatters here for you too.
Without minutes too, we'll give you.
Oh, okay, there's only a few so far, but here's a good one, quick short one. Without giving away too many spoilers, do you each have a favorite scene from the movie?
You want to go first, Matthew?
You can start. I'll think on that one.
The film was super. Matthew's a really fun person to work with because he gave me a lot of opportunities to play with things, and he wrote a really great script on American Murder. And there was a lot of opportunities to do a lot of non-linear things that you'll see in the movie. And particularly there was a lot of fun in the back end of the movie. I don't want to give too much away, but there's a lot of non-linear fun in the back end of the movie that we got to work together on. And as an editor, I think one of the superpowers we have is messing with time and space. And we got to do that in this movie after Matthew had created a really awesome script. So I don't know if it's a particular scene, but look at the last 15 minutes of the movie are probably my favorite.
I'll say, I think my favorite, the scene with Jackie Weaver. There's one long scene with Jackie Weaver where she plays Tom Pelfrey's mother.
Yeah.
The elements really, I think, came together for us on that scene because we had two, the whole cast was great, but in that scene, you just had two really, really incredible actors at the top of their game. That for a director, it was quite easy to kind of get out of their way. I'll also say the opening, because the opening of this movie is kind of a fun Rorschach test, because you see very quickly if this movie is for you or not. Like, if you don't like it in 5 minutes, I can promise you're not gonna like the rest of it. It announces itself very clearly and says what kind of movie you're about to watch. So I also wrote 99 freaking versions of that scene. So the writer in me, I would say, would go for the opening. The director will take the Jackie scene.
I got it. Okay. Thank you.
Here's another one. This is from an MFA. Let me parse this question down a little bit. They want to ask.
This is actually a music student, I think.
Yeah, they want to work in film, but the basic of this question are basically, a lot of people perceive some things to be more difficult than they're going to be, and that might impede them from getting into that, especially in filmmaking. Are there difficulties once you get to the filmmaking itself that were not as deep as you imagine they would be, and then maybe there's some that were more?
I'll take a stab at that one. I think when you're in school, we were MFA, like Matthew and I were both MFA people at AFI. I think AFI for us was a good training ground. And I think, most schools, I think just like yours, at least working with Studio X, I think they're trying to do a good job of give you a good kind of outline of what your job's going to look like when you graduate. That's the goal. And I think that was fun working with you guys, is that I had worked with real visual effects vendors, and you guys were trying to have and did have the same rigor, but have that learning opportunity at the same time. So yeah, but obviously as you go up in responsibility and budget and schedule and deadlines, and you get to work with more talented and skilled people, things are going to get harder, and there's going to be more unique challenges. And we're in a very interesting art form that's always getting more advanced. The visual language of movies is getting, in a way, harder as we go along, because it's getting it to be a more advanced art form, but it's only been around for 100 years.
I've worked on a lot of movies, and none of them were easy. But it was all about the collaboration and just having a good team, right? Working with people that you trust.
Yeah, and I think Matthew could speak to this too. You don't just cast in front of the camera. That was something he would talk about all the time. It's not just the casting in front of the camera, it's the casting behind the scenes. And I still remember this conversation. We were trying to figure out how to get how to get some visual effects shots done, because we had our visual effects artists, and we're like, we need more help. And I always remember talking to Matthew, was like, can we find the AFI of visual effects? And that's you guys. And we came and we got that.
Thank you very much. That is such a high compliment. Wow.
Right? Because I don't think a director and editor normally does that, but we had to think out the box, and be like, how do you do that? So that answered your other question that we didn't answer. Yeah, in terms of this gentleman's question, I would say, the kind of short answer, I think, is yes. I think you do have to, film is one of these, and all art is like that. You kind of just have to do it and try it, but it's sort of like someone that I'm trying to remember, I think that Richard Linklater recently said in an interview, he was like, film is a life, and music is the same way. My brother who scored this film and this was his first feature. He's a classical pianist and conductor, and Matt Allen worked very closely with him on the process and kind of guided him through it as a first time composer. My brother had an incredible music background. He brought that to film, but he kind of learned by doing, and by falling into it. And you kind of have to like do it all. You have to study a lot, you have to read a lot, you have to keep up with a lot, but you also have to do it. And actually, because it's you could be in a long position where you're just like watching movies and studying them, but you're not actually making them. And so there's an old Andy Warhol quote of like the paralysis, part of your analysis paralysis, like the part of your brain that you analyze with and the part of your brain that you create with is different. So it's kind of like you have to kind of keep it going 360, and that's hard. It's a lot. It takes a lot. It takes time to figure it out. But film it's a life, and if it's for you and you love it, it's great. But it's a lot of work, as we know. And
Well, could you ask Shrudi's question about factual accuracy?
Yes, I think that's a really good question,
I
because
know.
this is based on a real story, but now we have the people who are behind that. So when you have something like this based on a true story, is the factual accuracy to that story, does that take the most importance, or how much do you feel like these are different characters, that you would take on a life of their own?
Yeah, so I always stress with the movie, and I have in many interviews, that it's a work of true crime fiction. So it's based on a true crime, it's based on a true story. I did a lot of research into the subject, into Jason, into his past, his relationships. I met people who knew him. I met a police officer who worked this case. I met police officers who worked many cases that were similar. So I think it's important to do one's homework in this kind of movie. That said, it being a work of true crime fiction, this is a painting, it's not a photograph. So it's an interpretation of a true story. And by the very nature of putting actors on camera and restaging a scene that took place, automatically I'm taking creative license. I don't know what they actually said to each other, because nobody does except for those two people who were in that room, and one of them is missing and a top 10 fugitive by the FBI. So I strived to and I definitely imported facts into the narrative and I baked them into the story, but I also took a lot of creative license because what I'm doing is drama. I'm not doing a documentary. I'm not doing and even documentaries a lot of times, as we know, are pretty made up. So I think when you're doing a drama, and this is it's a controversial subject, that's been talked about a lot with true crime, especially the ethics of it and all of that. And I totally understand that, and it's valid. But I always just say straightforward every time I, promote this film or talk about it in a classroom or on a press junket or whatever, that this is a work of it's true crime fiction. So there are a lot. Now I've had people who were portrayed in the film or knew Jason that tell me how blown away they were by how accurate it was. I've had that.
Wow.
I've had some people say, he wasn't that crazy, but then I've had other people say, no, actually he was crazier. So, and that's what the movie's about, is, how do you get to know someone through all these different perspectives of what people are telling each other. So, I didn't strive for accuracy. I strived for what I consider to be a term in the school of drama called emotional truth. So, I was really striving to tell a story that felt real to me and explore the themes of family and the dark side of the American dream and charismatic con artists and all of that. And I was using the story to do that.
Great.
Yeah. Even if you had him to ask those questions, would he tell you the truth either, right? if you could ask him, right?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, when you make a movie about, based on a true story or based on true events, I just think, look, I mean, it's funny. We've now had a lot of people see this movie. It's been, especially internationally, it's been seen by a lot of people. And I haven't had many people come after me for, anyone really be like, oh, why did you make that up? Like, I think people know that most times when they watch something based on a true story, it's just, it's dramatized. And so something about it is not going to be exactly how it was. But You know, it's just it's a challenging thing that we face, but you know, movies, they get in trouble for it less than they used to. I remember when the movie The Hurricane came out with Denzel Washington in the late 90s. I was young, but I remember like hearing the story. So people were like outraged that they, you know, made up stuff, and you know, it's kind of silly because it's like it's a movie.
Well, I think that what's really good is that you did a lot of research, and you know that research you get a feeling, and you go with your feelings and gut, I would imagine, and I think that no matter what you're doing, whatever craft you're doing, the research part of it is such a huge part of the whole. To you know, and I'm sure that you probably got a certain vibe that he gave, you know, because you spoke to people who knew him and you did all that research, you know.
Yeah, a lot to work off. There was a lot of stuff out there. Photographs, videos. I mean, it was pretty extensive. So yeah.
I wanted to thank you so much, Matthew and Matt, for allowing us to collaborate with you. And we're going to talk to the students for a little bit about what the experience was like for them, and then we're going to screen the film.
Awesome.
So if you need to deck out, you can deck out, but we are so grateful that you came. Thank you for your time. And it was a pleasure. It was our pleasure to work with you.
We just want to thank Simran, Amanda, Will, Chris, Sparkle, Chenway. Thank you guys so much. You really did. We never got to like really speak during this whole thing. We never meet and buy you guys dinner or something. But thank you so much for
we had a fun summer where it was last summer. We called it American Murderer Summer Camp.
Thank you. The work you did was really excellent, and it helped get us to the finish line. Without it, we would have been pretty sunk. So I know I speak on behalf of myself, Matt, the producers, everybody. Thank you for getting this movie to the finish line, and you know, stay in touch with us. We're not hard to find. My website is my name, MatthewGentile, director.com. Email me, drop me a line. You know, if you never need a question or whatever.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's so generous of you. Thank you.
And Captain too, and Sasha, you know, I mean, really, you helped an indie film get to the finish line. We needed it. We really needed it.
Well, you know, I mean, I think that working on, for me, working on movies still, it keeps me, you know, I'm comping too, you know, and helping solve problems, and it just keeps me sharp. Thank you.
So, big thank you to Studio X and all you guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're the film.
Okay, take care. Just what was the experience like for you being a lead in Studio X and working on this feature film? I know that's a big broad question.
That's okay. It was very rewarding, slightly different from wearing the hat of just being a compositor, because you're working with other compositors more and leading them and guiding them in the help that they may need, being more organized, getting the shots, having meetings with you, the visual effects supervisor, the editors, and the directors that we just spoke to. So it was very rewarding. I really enjoyed it.
That's great. So if anybody wants to speak up, I think, Sparkle, was this your first feature film that you worked on?
Yes, it was. And it was so amazing just knowing that.
You probably realize how far you've come, you know, that like you think if I had that shot now, I could probably get it done in 2 minutes. You know?
Exactly. Now it's like, oh my God, this shot is so easy. Now that I look back on it. But just being a part of it and knowing that this is going to be a feature film, and then seeing it, it's like, it makes it all real. It makes everything real.
And you guys have IMDb credits and feature film credits at the end, which is awesome. Did you find that I'm just putting it out there to all of you. What did you think when you were working with like directors and they were coming into class, and were you intimidated, or did you feel that it was something that you enjoyed? They could be picky sometimes, and
I think it was a part
I could be picky sometimes.
Part of the experience, you know, because this was my first time coming to Studio X, like my first time ever. This was my first shot. You know, looking back at it, like I was glad that they're picky at some moments. Like even you, Catherine, like you would see like some of my frames would jump up at some of the shots, and I'm like, why, how can she see this? Like, I thought I got away with it, but I'm glad that like from this experience, like I learned how fast like a movie pace works on, like especially during the summer session. It's twice the work. Quicker you are, the better it is.
Most of the work we did was like split screens where you have action of one character in one take and then action in another character, another take, and you blend them together. We did a lot of what you would call invisible visual effects, getting rid of crew members, changing, doing matte painting like in this shot. Did you realize that like a lot of visual effects are things that the audience doesn't see? Did you sort of realize it so much?
Coming into like the Academy of Art, like I always thought like special effects was like always working on green screens or adding like the practical effects. But when I like worked on this, I was like, oh wait, this is like just like basic Photoshop stuff, like removing stuff in the background, but this also works in film. So yeah, I learned that like everything you see on like TV, YouTube, or anything has some kind of visual effects done on it.
Yeah. And it helps the storytelling process.
Definitely.
Yeah, because if there's, still something that sticks out, that takes the audience away. So we have to stay on point and make sure that everything's cleaned up right. If there's like a crew bag that needs to be removed, or a rain effect that's on the camera lens, small stuff like that can pull someone away. So we really worked really hard to make sure that the story gets told the way that it needs to.
Exactly. Chun Wei, what shot did you work on? What shots did you work on?
It was the shoulder one where the actress swing her arm across the shoulder.
Mm-hmm. So was it a split screen or?
Yeah, it's a split screen.
Yeah. So again, just, often you'll have an action in one take that's better than another.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts before we screen the movie? Has everyone spoken? Amanda, give us something.
Was hoping you didn't notice me.
Oh, no. That was one of your earlier shows too, right?
Yeah, it was my first feature film that I worked on. I did this scene where the cops were going in. It's towards the end of the film. I don't want to spoil it. But I actually rented the movie on Amazon. And when I saw it, I was like screaming because I was like, that's my shot.
Well, here at Studio X, we can get you credits. And we've been doing this for about 15 years. So we always have a nice stream of projects in there. And, we have a couple features now even. So, and we aim to mirror the industry with how we work, even here on Zoom, because we do the virtual production. So I really enjoyed working with all of you so much. And I appreciate your coming here today and I love to be able to say that you're going to see your credits on the big screen. I want to give a special thanks again to Sasha Corellis, our production, our supervising producer, staff production manager. She keeps everything together. And I can't tell you how much, sometimes we look at each other, we can't believe that we can actually do this stuff, but we're doing it and we love it. I want to thank Will Ziegler, who put together all of the montages of photos, and also is here tonight, was on the chat, and he's going to be screening the film. I want to thank Becky Johnson for pretty much organizing the whole thing here, organizing the whole event. So without further ado, I think we should start to screen the film. On behalf of Academy of Art and Studio X, I hope you enjoy this very special presentation of American Murderer.
Okay, hey everybody, we are going to go over to Discord so that
I'm going to stay here for a bit. Oh, and Scott, I'm sorry, I meant to thank Scott, our webmaster, who's also
our awesome streaming
yeah
guru. Yes. So I'm going to put a Discord link in the chat for everybody.
We're gonna stay here
And
for a bit in case anyone has problems.
yeah, but I'm gonna wait for people to get over there. And when you get over to our Discord, we made a Discord especially for screening movies. You can join the voice channel and it should automatically turn people's microphones off, so you won't have to worry about that. And then once we have folks in there, I will hit play on the movie.
Hope you made popcorn.
Yes, get some snacks for real. Oh, here they come, Catherine. They're going in.
Well, we have Xenon in the audience too, and also Shannon Casta worked on that police shot too. So we had more people that weren't here tonight. So. Hi, Xenon. Good to see you. There's Shannon. Oh my God.
Catherine, I just want to say to you, like, the rotoscoping, like the shot that I had where we had to fix the pavement and all that, and you were saying about invisible comping. After working at Encore, that's all I did was invisible comping. But it's like so much more fast paced because it's so many episodic shots that you have to work on. So that stuff that you drilled into us was really important.
Oh,
so
I'm so glad.
I just want to get that. I just want to tell you that.
Oh, well, it's so good to see you. And we should catch up.
Yes, for sure.
So I'm not quite sure when we can, I want to make sure everybody, are you guys going to go watch the film, any of you? Yeah. You're already there. Okay. I should probably mute this.
Well, I probably won't be able to because of my connection. So I'm overseas.
Yeah, but you saw it. You already saw it.
Yeah,
it's
I did.
Also available on, it's going to be on Apple TV in a few months, I think. And also it's on Amazon Prime to download, I believe.
And you can buy the DVD now, which I would recommend if you've worked on it to buy it.
Yes, that's what I want to do. I want to have all of them set up. Like, yeah, I worked on all these.
And if you guys are horror fans, Fear just came out and I just worked on that. So you guys should go see it.
Congratulations.
I told Simran about it.
That's so great. Okay, it sounds like we have a lab tech in the chat.